Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India condemns vandalism of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence, calls it a symbol of heroic resistance against the forces of occupation and oppression. US President Donald Trump imposes sanctions on the International Criminal Court for targeting the United States and its allies, repeating a move from his first term. Call for peace and end to crisis in DR Congo gain traction. UN calls for mediation even as African leaders are set to hold joint summit in Tanzania on Saturday. UN Human Rights Council special session today. Liverpool set up League Cup final with Newcastle after thrashing Tottenham Hotspur 4-0 at Anfield. India has condemned the vandalism of Bangladesh's founder-leader Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence in Dhaka. Responding to media queries regarding destruction of the historic residence of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, India's External Affairs Ministry said, and I quote, "It is regrettable that the historic residence of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, a symbol of the heroic resistance of the people of Bangladesh against the forces of occupation and oppression, was destroyed on February 5th. Further, the ministry added that all those who value the freedom struggle that nurtured Bangla identity and pride are aware of the importance of this residence for the national consciousness of Bangladesh. This act of vandalism should be strongly condemned." Moving on to the United States, where President Donald Trump has signed an executive order sanctioning the International Criminal Court, accusing it of illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and Israel. The measure places financial and visa restrictions on individuals and their families who assist in ICC investigations of American citizens or allies. In January, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to sanction the ICC after it issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over war crimes allegations in Gaza, which Israel denies. The ICC also issued a warrant for a Hamas commander. The White House accused the ICC of placing constraints on Israel's right to self-defense, while accusing the body of ignoring Iran and anti-Israel groups. Trump's signing of the executive order came as Netanyahu was visiting Washington. Trump's order said that ICC's recent actions set a dangerous precedent that endangered Americans by exposing them to harassment, abuse, and possible arrest. US President Donald Trump on Thursday authorized economic and travel sanctions targeting people who work on International Criminal Court investigations of US citizens or US allies, such as Israel, repeating the action he took during his first term. Up on your screens, we'll tell you how the International Criminal Court works. Now, the ICC's founding Rome Statute obliges all 124 ICC signatory states to arrest and hand over any individual subject to an ICC arrest warrant if they set foot on their territory. However, experts argue it's difficult to enforce and relies on the cooperation of state parties. The issuance of an ICC arrest warrant does not curb an individual's freedom to travel. However, once an arrest warrant has been issued, they risk arrest if they travel to an ICC signatory state, which may influence their decision making. There have been a number of occasions when state parties have not complied. Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir was indicted in 2009 and remained in office for another decade. Russia signed the Rome Statute in 2000 but withdrew in 2016. The United States, China, Israel, and Iran are not state parties to the ICC. A U.S. judge has temporarily halted President Trump's plan, offering incentives to accept a buyout and resign from their posts. The White House says more than 40,000 employees have accepted the offer to resign in exchange for pay until 30th of September. Here's a detailed report. A judge on Thursday suspended a scheme to slash the size of the U.S. government by encouraging federal workers to quit through a mass buyout. A federal judge in Massachusetts ordered a temporary injunction on the plan's deadline, which is now extended till Monday, when a district judge will hold a hearing on the merits of the case brought by labor unions. The offer was to quit with 8 months' pay or risk being fired in future. More than 40,000 staff have so far accepted the buyout deal. Unions representing some 800,000 civil servants and Democratic members of Congress are resisting the scheme and have challenged the legality of threats to fire civil servants. White House has called the offer a generous one, which it says that the federal workers should accept.
There was more than 40,000 individuals, federal workers, who had accepted the buyout program. We expect that number to increase. We encourage federal workers in this city to accept the very generous offer. If they don't want to show up to the office, if they want to rip the American people off, then they're welcome to take this buyout, and we'll find highly competent individuals who want to fill these roles.
But the sweeping, across-the-board cost-cutting campaign has already put a spanner in the working of many important departments. Everything from education to critical areas of intelligence have been impacted. For decades, the CIA has been the best intelligence gathering agency for the US. The inducements to resign have further been extended to the agency. The only thing that stands between the implementation of these blizzard of orders is the courts. The case will be probably the most keenly watched in recent history, when the judges will decide whether Trump has the legal right to make the offer and if it meets the constitutional requirements. Bureau Report, DD India. US President Donald Trump has signed a series of executive orders and taken other actions since his inauguration on January 20th to remake and reduce the size of the United States' 2.2 million strong federal workforce. Let's take a look at some of the actions Trump and his Republican administration have taken so far. Buyout offers to 2.3 million civilian full-time federal workers. Now, this includes the entire workforce of the CIA and other intelligence agencies. A US judge has temporarily blocked proposed buyout for federal workers until at least February 10th. US issued a memo pausing potentially trillions of dollars in federal aid. Also, a federal judge temporarily halted the directive and then extended that pause. Trump has fired 17 inspectors general at the multiple government agencies. He also ordered federal workers back to the office full-time. He also issued a freeze on federal hiring. All pending environmental litigations have been halted. Trump has ordered a review of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Trump has also accused FEMA of bungling emergency relief efforts. Also, the heads of the US Coast Guard and Transportation Security Administration are fired. Trump also signed an order calling for the elimination of government diversity programs. He has also signed orders to remove DEI directives from the military. The US president has also moved to merge USAID with the State Department. And also, he has signed a move to effectively dismantle the agency as an independent entity. US Marines on Thursday stretched out barbed wire across a border fence separating the United States and Mexico. A crew of about 30 Marines placed barbed wire on the US side of a wall that borders the La Libertad neighborhood. In this region, the border is marked by 2 walls built with steel columns, and the barbed wire was placed on the wall closest to Mexican territory. Earlier, President Donald Trump threatened Mexico with 25% tariffs, but pushed the rollout back a month in exchange for promises to tackle drugs and immigration. Mexico agreed to deploy 10,000 National Guard troops to the border. The first US military plane carrying a group of illegal migrants from the US arrived this week at the US detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Around 10 migrants were transported to Guantanamo Bay on a military aircraft. The Trump administration stated that the flight carried alleged members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, but did not disclose specific charges or convictions. It's part of President Donald Trump's pledge to deport migrants to the naval base, a move strongly rejected by the Cuban authorities. Trump has recaptured the White House, promising a broad immigration crackdown and record deportations. Meanwhile, nearly 680 undocumented Peruvians detained in the United States await deportation in the coming weeks. The Peruvian embassy in Washington reported that as of February, 5,340 Peruvians have deportation orders and 343 are awaiting possible deportation orders. Now, according to the Peruvian Foreign Ministry, approximately 320,000 Peruvians live illegally in the U.S., out of over 1 million residing in the country. Since 2022, when Peru and the U.S. signed an agreement on handing undocumented individuals, the U.S. has deported around 12,080 Peruvians. The United States has seized a Venezuelan government airplane in the Dominican Republic, stating that it breached U.S. sanctions, export controls and money laundering regulations. The action, overseen by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, marks the second such seizure in recent months and was executed as he concluded his Latin America tour. A Homeland Security official marked the plane with a warrant while it was stationed for maintenance in Santo Domingo. Now, according to the State Department, Venezuelan officials used the plane to fly to Greece, Turkey, Russia, Nicaragua and Cuba and had taken it to the Dominican Republic for maintenance.
Since then, that aircraft was utilized for every single state visit by the illegitimate President Nicolas Maduro, to include the 2023 U.S.-Venezuela prisoner swap. We were able to get the money to fix this aircraft and proceed with the forfeiture, with the seizure of the aircraft, sir.
Panama has rejected the United States' claim that it has secured free passage for government vessels through the Panama Canal while bowing to U.S. pressure to quit a key Chinese project. Panama President Jose Raul Mulino expressed his rejection of managing U.S.-Panama ties based on lies and falsehoods after the State Department claimed that U.S. government vessels would be able to pass the Panama Canal without paying a fee. The Panama Canal Authority issued a statement late on Wednesday denying the claim from the U.S. State Department that Panama's government had agreed to no longer charging the crossing fee for U.S. government vessels. Trump has accused Panama of charging excessive rates to use its Strait passage. This is one of the busiest in the world. Mulino also said that Panama had formally presented a document to exit the Belt and Road Initiative, but denied the decision had been made at the request of the U.S. Mulino said he had asked the ambassador in Washington to take firm steps to deny the Trump administration's claim.
I have to say that I must reject this statement from the US State Department because it is based on a falsehood. That's not how bilateral relations between the two countries, friends and partners throughout the history should be handled. Our ambassador in Beijing submitted the corresponding document according to the agreement to announce the cancellation of 90-day notice. I think the agreement says so. So that's the decision I made.
Greenland's ruling Siumat party has promised to hold a vote on independence after the general election next month. The issue became urgent after US President Donald Trump openly expressed interest in taking control of the island. The semi-autonomous territory still belongs to the Kingdom of Denmark and has elections scheduled for March 11th. Party spokesperson Doris Jensen stressed on the necessity for independence for future negotiations. An opinion poll published last week also indicated 85% of Greenlanders are opposed, with nearly half saying they see Trump's interest as a threat. The Social Democratic Siumat Party holds 10 seats in the 31-seat parliament. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said that his country would not be intimidated by international pressure days after US President Donald Trump said that he would cut off funding to South Africa over a land reform act. President Ramaphosa also expressed concern about the potential impact of the decision by the US to suspend its funding for HIV and TB programs in the African countries.
We are concerned about the potential impact of the decision by the United States government to suspend some of its funding for HIV and TB programs in African countries for 90 days. Now, this funding that we get accounts for about 17% of our country's HIV spend. We are looking at various interventions to address the immediate needs and ensure the continuity of the essential services that we might lose if this funding does not come through.
UN Climate Chief Simon Stiell delivered a stark message in his first speech of the year, urging countries to strengthen their climate commitments. His call comes as President Trump moves to pull the US out of the Paris Agreement. Speaking in Brazil, UN Climate Chief Simon Stiell urged countries to strengthen their national climate plans ahead of November's crucial talks. He acknowledged that progress has fallen short over the past decade, but insisted that others are stepping up to the lead that is gaining jobs, cleaner air and economic growth.
May step back, but others are already stepping into their place to seize that opportunity and to reap the massive rewards: stronger economic growth, more jobs, less pollution and far lower health costs, and more secure and affordable energy.
You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Israel follows US in withdrawing from United Nations Human Rights Council over alleged bias. Ukraine air defense strengthens with the arrival of French Mirage 2000 and US fighter F-16 jets. Bogota goes car-free for a day to fight against pollution. Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Israel has informed the United Nations Human Rights Council that it will follow the United States in withdrawing its participation, the ambassador to the UN in Geneva said on Thursday. Council members have frequently raised allegations of Israeli human rights violations in the Gaza conflict. Israel rejected the finding and said it takes care to avoid civilian casualties. It has long criticized the Geneva-based body and has disengaged in the past. Israel's ambassador to the UN in Geneva, Daniel, said the Human Rights Council has been a biased body since its beginning, with dictatorships lecturing democracies on human rights.
We are very close to the United States, but this step was not coordinated. We have been for a long time complaining about the things that I mentioned today, and this was a very good opportunity, following the step of President Trump, to also take our step that would have happened probably anyway.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will make his first visit to West Asia this month, following President Trump's comments on relocating Gaza's population. Secretary Rubio is set to attend a Munich security conference, after which he will visit Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar and Saudi Arabia from February 13 to 18. Speaking earlier on Thursday during a visit to the Dominican Republic, Rubio indicated that Trump is also seeking support for Gaza's reconstruction from the nations with both the economic and technological capacity to assist, likely referring to wealthy Gulf Arab states. Let's get to updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Ukraine received a first batch of French Mirage 2000 fighter jets as well as US-made F-16 fighters on Thursday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the arrival of jets as European allies seek to strengthen Kyiv's hand in the conflict. The fighter jets will now participate in defending the skies of Ukraine against Russian missiles and aircraft. Ukraine has repeatedly pressed Western allies to supply it with increasingly advanced arms and ammunition, including armored vehicles, tanks, long-range missiles and F-16 fighters since the beginning of the conflict. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged for mediation in the escalating Eastern Congo crisis. Guterres called for an immediate end to hostilities, urging all players to act together for peace, while reiterating the conflict risked engulfing the entire region.
Silence the guns, stop the escalation, respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, uphold international human rights law and international humanitarian law. There is no military solution. It's time for all the signatories of the Peace, Security and Cooperation Framework for the DRC and the region to honor their commitments.
The conflict between the M23 rebel group and the Congolese government escalated in January, resulting in at least 2,900 deaths in the city of Goma, as per the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. Congo is seeking a UN Human Rights Council investigation into alleged rights violation in Goma. The Democratic Republic of Congo's parliament held an extraordinary session this week to discuss the solution to the eastern conflict as rebels backed by Rwanda continue to seize the territory. The National Assembly has worked tirelessly to prepare proposals for President Felix Tshisekedi ahead of a regional summit in Tanzania starting Friday, which he is likely to attend alongside Rwanda's President Paul Kagame.
We must seize this moment to provide the President of the Republic with constructive contributions to secure victory in this war, both diplomatically and politically.
Some lawmakers, however, have opposed dialogue with armed groups, citing concerns over democratic principles and territorial integrity.
Personally, as an elected representative of the people, I will never accept this dialogue. Power in our country cannot and must never be seized through arms. Such a path would be a step backward, trampling on our democracy and above all, our constitution. As someone elected by the people of the East, I am actually aware of their suffering. I cannot fully support this dialogue. We must fight to the end to reclaim our honor and every inch of territory invaded by the Rwandans and their M23 proxies.
The conflict has intensified, with rebels seizing key city of Goma and are advancing towards Bukavu, with illegal exploitation of mineral resources in the region being identified as a significant factor contributing to the ongoing crisis. Congo has accused Rwanda of supporting the rebels in the east, a claim that Rwanda denies. Meanwhile, in a show of control, rebels gathered hundreds of people in a stadium in Goma on Thursday, introducing new administrators for the areas they have captured. Despite declaring a unilateral ceasefire, the rebels continued their advance, seizing another mining town in South Kivu province and pushing towards the provincial capital Bukavu. The advance came after the rebels took control of Goma, the largest city in eastern Congo, last week. All right, Amit Mukherjee is joining us to get us more. Amit, good morning. Now, we've just given a broad outline of the current developments in Goma, but help us understand how grave is the situation with the rebels moving on to the major cities and major towns in the region. How grave is the situation at present?
Well, Preeti, the situation is certainly grave, and it has drawn the international attention. And while everybody is talking about de-escalation, mediation to end the conflict, it's not very clear as to what is the intention of the M23 group, which is right now the rebel group, which is now in control of the situation, and they are going full steam ahead with the assaults in various regions in the eastern part of Congo. Like for example, last week they took control over Goma, which is in the northern part of the Kivu province, and this week again they launched a massive attack and they have taken control over the Niabebwe town, which is again a very, very important town in terms of mineral deposits and all. And also it is very, very close to the town of Kavumu, which is again midway between Bukavu, which is the provincial capital, and Kavumu actually has the airport. So it's not very, very clear as to what the intentions of M23 group was. In fact, the rebels who gathered at Gomo, their leader, Corneille Nanga, he also, kind of addressed a public rally where he kind of openly said that it's time to liberate the entire Congo. And also he is of the opinion that he is going to drive President Felix Tshisekedi out of Congo. So as of now, when everybody is talking about de-escalation, the stakeholders who are involved out here, people who have been involved in mediation, because remember, this is an ongoing conflict that has been raging for many years, and it again kind of resurfaced with the M23 about 3 years back. So a lot of stakeholders are involved, and in this particular region, the conflict which has been creating a lot of unrest in the other African countries which are surrounding this particular country. So, in fact, a lot of allegations are being, slapped against Rwanda for supporting the M23. But again, Rwanda also made a statement yesterday that they are in talks with the European Council to kind of de-escalate the situation and find a way ahead. But as of now, there is no clear-cut way ahead. And although a lot of people are talking about de-escalating and mediation, things are not things don't seem to be working out. And M23 is on with its onslaught in the eastern part of Congo right now. And also another thing is that as far as the intentions of this group is concerned, whether they want to take the control of Congo or not, it's not very, very clear. Preeti?
All right, the intentions are not yet clear at one point. Also, international mediation efforts are, are being deployed. But at the same time, Amit, I would want you to explain to our viewers the significance of this region, because we tell our viewers that these rebel forces are, the M23 rebel forces are now gradually progressing, moving towards Bukavu. This region particularly is very important for chips and for computers and for electronic items. Get us more as to what is at stake, because mediation, we're talking of mediation, but then no outcome is in sight. Put all this together, what do you make of how will the days ahead pan out? And also when we specifically talk of this region, what is at stake?
Very rightly pointed out, because this particular part of Congo is rich in minerals and, primarily gold, tin and coltan. Now, these are very, very important products which are used in the manufacturing of mobile phones, the semiconductor chips, and also various other electronic items which goes into manufacturing of products. So, of course, there is a clear-cut, sort of a strategy, because, when we want to grab power, you obviously want to control the places which actually are rich in terms of financial resources. Of course, these areas which the M23 are targeting right now, these are places which are minerally, they are very, very rich, and they actually run the economy of this Congo region. And so it's very, very clear that, if there is no clear-cut intention, initially, M23 group, which is primarily consisting of the Tutsi tribe, the Tutsi ethnic group, they were saying that this escalation has again started because the Tutsis are not getting their legitimate rights. Their interests are not being taken care of by the administration of Congo. But certainly it is beyond that. When you are targeting financial zones, the areas which are rich in minerals, which are actually controlling the economy of the country, it means that there is somewhere, a sort of a power struggle is involved, and the rebel groups right now are focusing to target all those financial, zones which actually run Congo, and that would actually give them the power once they have the control of all these places. Preeti?
All right, Amit, thank you for joining in with those details. And more than 100 Kenyan police officers arrived in Haiti's capital to reinforce the security mission after the US froze some funding before passing a waiver to unlock a separate batch of funds. A contingent of 144 Kenyan officers touched down in Port-au-Prince on Thursday, with Kenyan President William Ruto adding that he had spoken to US Secretary of State Marco Rubio about the mission. The mission is being led by Kenya, which deployed nearly 400 police in the middle of last year, far short of the 1,000 it had promised. The police were later joined by Jamaican personnel as well as officers from Belize and El Salvador.
About the U.S. role and support of the mission there. So let me be clear, and so it's understood. Last week, in the middle of last week, I signed a waiver to make sure that our programs there continue. And as of last Friday, they are active and have been working. They are, and I reiterated that this morning in my call with the President of Kenya, who we appreciate, by the way, that nation's willingness to stand up and lend security forces.
Heavy rains have recently triggered flash floods in several regions of Peru, causing damage and disruption in the city. Now, these intense downpours have led to overflowing rivers, inundated roads and destruction of infrastructure. Environmental experts warn that such extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and intense, largely due to climate change. The increased frequency of El Nino and La Nina events, as well as shifting weather patterns, are contributing to the unpredictable nature of rainfall and flooding in the region. Up next, we're heading for a short break. You're watching DD India News Hour, but after the break, we'll give you all the updates from budget session of Indian Parliament. Preparations in full swing for Aero India 2025 to be held in Bengaluru from 10th to 14th of February, promising a spectacular showcase of aviation technology. And BAPS Hindu Mandir and Cultural Centre, the largest Hindu temple in South Africa, inaugurated.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick recap of the top stories now. India condemns vandalism of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence, calls it a symbol of heroic resistance against the forces of occupation and oppression. US President Donald Trump imposes sanctions on the International Criminal Court for targeting the United States and its allies, repeating a move from his first term. Call for peace and end to crisis in DR Congo gained traction. UN calls for mediation even as African leaders are set to hold joint summit in Tanzania on Saturday. UN Human Rights Council's special session today. Liverpool also set up a League Cup final with Newcastle after threatening Tottenham Hotspur 4-0 at Anfield. And now we get to updates from Parliament. Discussion on the budget will continue in the lower house of the Indian Parliament on Friday. While in the upper house, members will present their private bills. Important questions shall also be raised during the 0 hour in both houses related to various ministries. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented Union Budget for the financial year 2025-26 on 1st of February, focusing on agriculture, investment and exports to drive the goal of Viksit Bharat. Our correspondent Vishal Baristo is joining us from Newsroom. Vishal, good morning. Now we tell our viewers that discussion on the budget will continue in the lower house of Parliament today. Get us more. How do we expect the day to pan out in both the houses?
Well, a very good morning to you, Preeti. Yes, indeed, the discussion would continue on the budget. We know that the Finance Minister had presented the budget on the 1st of February, giving huge relief to the middle class, and we are expecting the new income tax bill that would come up on Monday, and the Finance Minister is also expected to give her reply in the next week. But as of now, there is a lot of hectic debate going on, a lot of ruckus also, because the opposition claims that the government has not done justice with those deported, the illegal migrants I'm talking about from the United States, and we are expecting the same ruckus to continue today. And today being the last day of the working day of the week, last working day, so we are expecting private bills to be placed in the Elders House, that includes a very important bill on the deepfake, how to prevent and how the content on the deepfake and how to criminalize the content on the deepfake. And another very important bill is the artificial intelligence, how to protect the interest of the employees. These two are very important private members' bill. But the deportation issue of the illegal migrants from the US is expected to continue over in the lower house of the Parliament.
So, get us more as to what do we expect the session from here on, also the days ahead to pan out, because this is going to be a long session, and also we've seen, opposition has time and again picked up issues, has also expressed its ire, but then at the same time, a smooth functioning of the parliament also depends on the, on the intent of the opposition. What do you make of what is the intent of the opposition in this session? What is it that they are putting forward for the parliament to gauge and to discuss?
Well, Preeti, this budget session has been divided into two parts. The first part would end on the 13th of February, and the opposition from the word go, especially in the budget session, has been very, very vocal. In fact, they were not very much interested. You heard Sonia Gandhi commenting on the president's speech and also her remarks on the budget and on the working of the government. And yesterday we saw how the opposition again created a ruckus in the parliament over the illegal deportation of the migrants from US. Earlier it was the Samajwadi Party that raised the issue of the Congo tragedy. So we are hopeful that opposition would let the parliament to function, but over the past few sessions which I have attended, I've seen that the opposition is time and again creating ruckus in the parliament, and that includes both the lower and the elders house. And this is the last working day of the week, so we are expecting not much business today, but if the opposition allows the house to function, especially in the upper house, then we might get to hear some important discussion on the private members' bill.
All right, Vishal, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And the debate on the motion of thanks to the President's address wrapped up in the Rajya Sabha on Thursday, following Prime Minister Narendra Modi's fiery address. The Prime Minister was forthright about his government's policies being in the interest of the nation's development and benefiting all sections of the society. He also took on the opposition, particularly the Congress, with aggression. DD India's Dibendu Mondal gets us more in this report.
The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, delivered a scathing attack on the opposition in his address to the upper house of the Indian Parliament. His speech was direct and forceful. He slammed the Congress party, accused it of prioritizing family over development.
कांग्रेस के मॉडल में सर्वोपरि है फैमिली फर्स्ट, और इसलिए उनकी नीति रीति, उनकी वाणी, उनका वर्तन उस एक चीज को संभालने में ही खपता रहा है.
The Prime Minister credited his government for shifting from a model of appeasement, that is Tushtikaran, to Santushtikaran, or contentment, after coming to power in 2014. The Prime Minister highlighted his government's push for inclusive development driven by the motto Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Citing examples, he spoke about strengthening the SC/ST Act and granting constitutional recognition to the OBC Commission. The Prime Minister also highlighted the progress under the Vishwakarma scheme, Mudra Yojana, and the government's efforts to uplift the marginalized communities, including fishermen. Infrastructure development also took center stage. The Prime Minister mentioned stalled projects that have now been revived and underscored how India has emerged as a mobile phone manufacturing hub. In his speech, the Prime Minister assured the middle class and the neo-middle class that his government stands firmly with them. He stressed the importance of increasing respect for the middle class, recognizing their role in nation building.
70 साल से ऊपर के किसी भी वर्ग के क्यों न हो, किसी भी समाज से क्यों न हो, उनको आयुष्मान योजना का लाभ देकर के, और उसका सबसे बड़ा लाभ मिडिल क्लास के बुजुर्गों को मिल रहा है. आदरणीय सभापति जी, हमने देश में 4 करोड़ घर बनाकर हमारे देशवासियों को दिए. जिसमें से 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा घर शहरों में बने हैं। हमने घर खरीदने वालों के साथ बहुत बड़ा फ्रॉड हुआ करता था, उनको सुरक्षा देना बहुत जरूरी था और इसी सदन में हमने रेरा का कानून बनाया है जो आज मध्यम वर्ग के घर के सपने के खिलाफ जो रुकावटें थी उसको दूर करने का महत्वपूर्ण हथियार बना है।
After the PM's speech, the motion of thanks to the President's address was passed in the upper house of the Parliament. With this, the motion of thanks to the President's address is passed in both the houses of the Indian Parliament. The stage is now set for the crucial budget debates that will begin on Friday. Dibyendu Mondol's report for DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Greek counterpart George Georgipetritis in New Delhi. In a post on social media platform X, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that he held a very productive conversation on advancing multifaceted relations, focusing on shipping, trade and investment, connectivity, mobility, artificial intelligence and cultural ties with the Greek FM. The Reserve Bank of India Governor Sanjay Malhotra issued a monetary policy statement. The Monetary Policy Committee has decided unanimously to reduce the policy rate by 25 basis points, which is from 6.5% to 6.25%, whereas the standing deposit facility rate will be at 6%. RBI has estimated real GDP growth for the next year to be at about 6.7%. The announcement provides important insights into the central bank's monetary policy. Our correspondent Shama Mishra joins us from Mumbai. Shama, good morning. Now, the MPC has been announced by the RBI. Let us know how do you, gauge or how do you evaluate this? Was it on the expected lines?
Well, Preeti, yes, it was much on the expected lines, and more than expected lines, it was a demand, it was a cry for a very long time, and this has been delivered to people, the citizens of India. And this is the first monetary policy announcement of the new governor of Reserve Bank of India, Sanjay Malhotra, and also the first monetary policy announcement after the budget. So it was a very crucial one, and as we've said that it was on the expected lines. So nearly in 5 years, this is the first rate cut that India is seeing from the Reserve Bank of India. It was 6.5% and now 0.25 basis points have been reduced. So now the key rate stands at 6.25%. So that is definitely a welcome step for the whole country. Apart from that, the neutral stance from the MPC has remained intact. There has been no change in that. We also talk about how the governor puts up the projection for GDP, for the CPI inflation. Going to the GDP for the last quarter, the quarter 4 for FY25 has remained same, and that is around 7.2%. But however, the quarter 1, quarter 2 for FY26 has been reduced, so that so the GDP growth data or the growth projection is now, which was earlier 6.9, is now Q1 is 6.7. Same in a similar manner. The other Q2, Q3, Q4 have also been tweaked. So, going forward, we can expect a slowdown, and in Q3 we are expecting around 7% of the growth in the GDP. So that is a good point over there. On the CPI inflation front, that has been intact. That's not been touched. So 4.2 projection, 4.2% is that what was projected last time, and it's same. The governor, however, highlighted that going forward there could be an ease in inflation. So that's another welcome point over here. A relief over here, because the country overall has been battling inflation, and even when RBI saw it coming into its target range of 4%, give or minus plus or minus 2%, it has stayed above the target range, and the aim of the Reserve Bank of India has always been that the point that it comes down to 4%, it should stay there. It should not be variable. It should have a sustained down projection and a sustained down percentage. Apart from that, the governor has highlighted that the uncertainties in the global world, in the global factors, that continues and that will have a ripple effect to our country. Apart from that, on the front of the cyber frauds, Governor has really mentioned a lot of measures on that front, because as the technology increases, advances, it brings convenience, but also it brings the scammers with new ways of scamming people. So Governor has highlighted and put out few measures. One of them being now the two-factor authentication that we used to have. It will now be passed on, and the international transactions will also be under this purview. We are also seeing the banks should have a particular http.fin.in, this particular address they should be having, so that the citizens, or so that the consumers, they know that they are actually transacting with the original website of the bank and not with some fraud website. Apart from that, we have also seen that the governor has said that for seeing the trade timing, there will be a special committee that will be formed, and that will also see the overall trade timings and the way it works. So yes, a very eventful day, eventful start for the new governor, and now we'll have to see what governor speaks in the 12 o'clock press conference that he'll be speaking to the reporters over there.
All right, Shyama, now this MPC was announced, immediately. This was the first MPC announced after the union budget was announced for 2025-26. What were the challenges that were pointed out by the governor when we talk of India? Any particular external factors? How is India placed on the global page as compared to the other counterparts, the other world nations? Also, there could also be important optimistic points for the economy to look forward to. Put all this together, get us more on all this as well.
Well, the challenge for RBI currently is how to balance the growth and how to keep the inflation in check. Now we are talking about inflation, so the projection over there has been same. There has been no change in it, so we can understand that 4.2 is something what RBI would want to happen, and would also be something which is in the comfortable range of Reserve Bank of India. And when it comes down to 4.2, it will be a good factor for the citizens as well, because inflation has been rising and putting it in under control has been a challenge. As I mentioned earlier, that not just bringing it down to 4%, but keeping it sustained there below 4% time after time is an important task for Reserve Bank of India, and also a challenge. On the external front, I have mentioned that earlier. Governor in his speech has said that there have been uncertainties on the international front, and India is obviously a part of the global world, so India will have some impacts of it. Like I said, the GDP projections have been brought down, so the ripple effect can be seen coming over there. However, by Q3, we can see that the optimistic part over here is that we will touch 7% according to the projection. If that is not again, in the next bi-monthly policy again tweaked or brought down. So there is a positive factor over there, an optimistic point over there, that India in the Q3 of FY26 will be at 7% for the GDP. So that's a very nice point over there, and the thrust of the Reserve Bank of India, which is continuously on the consumers, on the citizens' benefits, be it the advancement of technology, protecting them from frauds, giving them proper solutions, facilities. He has listed out a lot of that, and even the banks and NBFCs, they've been told that they should get involved in educating, in coming out with financial inclusion, especially for women.
Right.
So overall, the governor has given out a message to various stakeholders, and that everyone should come together and work for the development. And definitely the next quarter, which will be the next bi-monthly policy rather, which will be after 2 months, we will have to see how things are panning out.
All right.
And because this is just the budget, this is the MPC just after the budget, so we will have to see how things are developing.
All right. Thank you so much, Shyama, for joining us with those details. All right, the spark of spirituality is very much alive in South Africa with the opening of BAP's Hindu Mandir and Cultural Centre in the largest Hindu temple in South Africa, which was inaugurated by Mahant Swami Maharaj, who travelled from India especially for the occasion. DD India's correspondent Nazdeen Ismail gets us more.
Largest Hindu temple in the southern hemisphere has been unveiled, attracting thousands of worshippers. Led by Mahant Swami Maharaj, the 92-year-old spiritual leader of the Bocha Sanwasi Akshar Purushottam Swaminarayan Sanstha, known as BAPS, who travelled from India for the occasion, the temple aims to promote intercultural dialogue and prayer. The temple represents a significant milestone for the Hindu community in South Africa. Despite less than 2% of South Africans identifying as Hindu, the religion holds great prominence among the country's Indian population. Launching the first phase of the Multicultural Centre and Temple, South Africa's Deputy President Paul Mashatile stressed that the principles of this place resonate with South Africa's national ethos of Ubuntu.
The principles of Dharma, Seva or service, and unity that BAPS upholds indeed resonate deeply with our national ethos of Ubuntu. They believe in our shared humanity and interconnectedness.
So we are so honored to have so many guests from different corners of the globe, actually. People from Canada, people from the UK, people from the USA, rubbing shoulders from Dubai. And you all know about the great Abu Dhabi Mandir. So we are very honored that we have people from different dialects coming to this Mandir. We have Lord Muruga, the deity has been installed in the Mandir. We have Tirupati Balaji as well. And we're learning about different people of different dialects right here under the banner of Hinduism. We're very, very honored and very happy indeed to have everyone under this one, the blue skies of South Africa.
Great, thanks for having me here, and of course we are very thrilled, we are very excited to be at this newly developed cultural complex here in North Riding, Randburg. It's obviously the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere, and I think the community is proud of it, as they should be. And it's definitely giving a new impetus to the area, of course, uniting people in a completely different way. I think what I'm impressed about is to see that diversity, the harmony and the unification that's really happening here today.
Devotees were fortunate to seek blessings from Swamiji as he filed past the congregation in a special ceremony. The BAPS, Sri Swaminarayan Hindu Mandir and Cultural Centre in Johannesburg is a gift to South Africa. It symbolizes hope and unity. The inauguration ceremonies shall continue over the next few days. I'm Nazneen for DD India, Johannesburg, South Africa.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The Health Department of Maharashtra has identified 173 suspected cases of GBS with 140 confirmed diagnoses and 1 death reported. The particular syndrome leads to muscle weakness and, in severe instances, paralysis. Pune has been the hardest hit by the outbreak, causing significant concern among health officials and residents alike. Efforts are underway to manage and contain the spread of GBS in the state. The 15th edition of Asia's premier aerospace and defense exhibition, Aero India 2025, is set to take place from February 10 to 14th at Yelahanka Air Force Station, Bengaluru, Karnataka. Preparations are in full swing as the highly anticipated event draws near. The rehearsal turned into a celebration of aerospace engineering, military aviation and human skill, attracting attendees from across the city and beyond. All right, on to sports updates now. Liverpool thrashed Tottenham Hotspur 4-0 at Anfield on Thursday to set up the League Cup final against Newcastle United. Cody Gakpo, Mohamed Saleh, Dominic Szoboszlai and Virgil van were on target for the Reds. Now they will face Newcastle at Wembley on March 16th for the first silverware of the English season. Newcastle saw off Arsenal 2-0 and 4-0 on aggregate on Wednesday to secure their second final in 3 years. The final will be Liverpool's 15th in the League Cup, but a first in English football for Liverpool's Dutch manager Arne Slot, who replaced Jurgen Klopp at the end of the last. The 38th National Games in Uttarakhand continue to witness intense competition across various sports disciplines, with services emerging as the front-runner in the medal tally. The state has secured a total of 56 medals, including 31 golds, 13 silvers and 12 bronze medals, showcasing remarkable performances across multiple events. Following closely, the Karnataka team holds the second position with a total of 56 medals, comprising of 30 golds, 11 silvers and 15 bronze. Maharashtra currently stands third with 94 medals, including 19 golds, 38 silvers and 37 bronze medals, with their consistent performances. Other states adding an impressive tally include Tamil Nadu, Manipur and Delhi and Kerala, with several events yet to be held. Ranking may witness further shifts in the coming days. Our correspondent Narayan Singh is joining us to get us more. Narayan, good morning. Get us more. How has the day panned out ahead today? We've given a detailed medal tally to our viewers, but let us know what competitions do we look forward to today.
Good morning, Preeti. The way things are happening here in Uttarakhand during the National Games, definitely we can say the fantastic sporting atmosphere here, and we can say that it's not only about the winning the medals for the country, for their respective states, but the most important thing that these National Games are giving a platform to the young and emerging players to compete with the best in the business, because the Commonwealth medalists, Asian Games medalists, Olympians all are participating here. And if we talk about today, there will be boxing matches in Hari Singh Thapa Sports Complex in Pithoragarh, and lawn tennis matches. The initial matches are taking place at the parade ground, and the archery final matches in the recurve event will also take place at the International Cricket Stadium in Dehradun. But most important thing here is that the players who are coming here, they are saying that a world-class infrastructure has been raised here in Uttarakhand by the help of the central government. But most important thing I will try to mention here is that the important tips the young players and the emerging players are getting from the Olympians, Commonwealth Games. Yesterday Deepika Kumari was there, who played in 4 Olympics, and she was sharing her we can say the experience and various important tips to these players. Same with the Abhishek Verma, who won medals in the Asian Games, 5 medals, and also at the World Cup. He was also sharing the important his experience with the players. So it's a great platform for the young athletes to display their best talent, and the way things are happening. Yesterday we saw Karnataka was at the top of the points table, and now today Services is at the top. So an intense battle between the athletes of the different states is taking place here. We are hoping that this will continue in the coming days too.
All right, Narayan, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. That was our correspondent Narayan Singh telling us more about the 38th National Games and the competitions that will be held today. With that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour. Bart, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.